Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel once again. It is a hot day out here today. Holy crap, it's like 75, 80 degrees at least. Today I'm gonna go to actually my old high school to do just some basic drills for my own self, but I also wanted to kind of talk about what it's like to kind of ride a motorcycle and how to actually get going on it. Because most people that are subscribed to my channel either have a bike or they're thinking about getting a bike or they're still trying to learn the fundamentals. And I would say if it's your first time, the biggest thing that you're going to have difficulty with is actually clutch control and being able to take off from different stops without stalling the bike. So when we go down to that parking lot today, I'm going to be showing you guys that as well. We're going to practice some turning and whatnot today. I'm also going to take it to work probably tomorrow and the following day. All right, so this is the school. Pretty much, I'm going to try to do some basic turns, and then thereafter, we'll probably do some emergency braking. I'm probably going to go on that side because it is a little bit bigger, but I guess for now we could probably do turns here. This bike is already, I could tell it's going to give me some issues with turning, so I got to get used to it. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll talk in a little bit. Damn. Alright, so now that was turning. I'm going to do emergency braking. That's actually probably a better to go right there. That's like more, because you could probably kick it up into second or third and not have too much of an issue. All right, so I'm gonna pivot and go to that parking lot over there, trying to get some shade. Okay, so I guess we'll start right here. For most of you that are coming into this whole motorcycle realm, most of you have never ridden a bike before, motorcycle meaning, and most of you have ridden a regular bicycle, but if not, some of you are even that, out of touch with riding any type of bike. This is clearly a 650cc bike. I would not necessarily recommend getting a big, heavy adventure bike for your first bike. That's obviously a pretty cut case in point. Obviously, it has a lot of torque and power that you're not going to necessarily, as a beginner, know how to use correctly. That's just that. I love this bike so far, but I've also been riding, about 1.5 years, 2 years almost. And then I also rode as a kid on dirt bikes. So I'm a little bit more familiar than probably the average person that just is barely getting into this. I'm going to show you guys how to just get up and go. You just bought your bike or you're thinking about buying a bike and now you have it in your driveway and you don't know what to do. You're like, shit, now I actually have to ride this thing. I was motivated. I watched tons of YouTube videos and content about all this stuff. And now I actually have it in real life. It's the real thing. And let me tell you guys, it can be the most intimidating thing that you will ever, one of the most intimidating things that you will ever do in your entire life is to ride one of these things, because they can be death machines or death traps if you don't treat it the right way. Motorcycles, as you know, or if you don't know, you're 33 times more likely to get in a accident than most, and I don't even want to say that stat because I'm still riding today, so God be with me. But that's the reality of it. One of the things that I can recommend, whether it's a driveway or an apartment, wherever, just pick an area like this, just ride to it and come to this if you can. If you can't even ride to it because you don't know the rules of the road, or you only got your permit, or maybe not even a permit, then just stay in your local area and do that. But let's say you get in a situation like this, or any type of area where you can practice, the first thing that you want to do is just inspect for, anything crazy. I already kind of did that before I left, but you want to make sure your PSI is good, nothing's leaking or coming out of the bike. Most bikes, you're going to have your oil down here, and your oil bolt is going to be directly below it. So that's just kind of tip number one. Tip number two is actually mounting up on the bike. So depending on what your seat height is, etc., what always has helped me is just put one foot on the left peg and then swing your right leg over like that. And then with your left leg, you can kind of push the bike up with your foot, but it just alleviates unnecessary pressure or back strain on your back. I'm going to actually put this kickstand back down. Well, I don't need to. I'll put it back up. Because most bikes, they will not start if the kickstand is down. So make sure that it is down. Or kickstand is up, rather. So once you're on the bike, you just want to kind of adjust your mirrors as you go, right? The camera just stopped recording. I don't know why it did that. So most bikes, they're going to either be 1 down and 4 up, or 1 down and 5 up, depending on the transmission and how many gears it has. It's what I usually do, and other people don't do it, but I just hit the brake just by default, just by my own natural senses. And you go ahead and just engage the clutch, pull it all the way in. And then all you're going to do is just tap one little foot down. So like that. And now your bike is in gear. Now let me show you guys, if you just disengage the clutch and then just try to hit the throttle, what happens. So let's say I disengage the clutch and then I'm going to try to do the throttle. It's going to stall like that, as you saw. In the biking world, you just want to take it gradual and slow with this clutch. You never want to let this out and then hit the throttle. You want to let this out slightly, just gradually like that, kind of as you can see with my hand. I'll do it one more time so you can get a clear image. You just want to kind of go like that, very slightly, until you hit what's called the friction zone. Now, I've mentioned this in my other tutorial video on how to just operate a whole motorcycle in general, but this is crucial, and this is where most beginners fail. They end up just dumping the clutch and then they try to hit the throttle thereafter. No, you should be lightly until you reach the friction zone, letting this clutch out while also giving it gas at the same time. The key thing here is to really have a smooth clutch pull on anything. And that includes turning like what I did. If your clutch pull is like all over the place like that and it's just not smooth, you're going to have a really difficult time. But we're just gonna cradle this thing right now. As you can see, I'm not even hitting the throttle, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just letting the clutch out, and that's how you know that you're doing it right when you're engaging the friction zone. If while you're doing it, the bike is actually moving with you without you having to, hit anything. And I'm actually riding the bike right now without hitting the throttle at all. Now, if I just pull this in ever so lightly, and then I hit the brake, bike's gonna stop, right? As you can see, I'm all the way in. If I let it out again, bike's gonna start engaging. And look, the bike is going. There is no throttle, ladies and gentlemen. There is no throttle at all. I'm letting the bike totally do this on its own. All right, so now I'm gonna just engage the clutch, press the brake at the same time, come to a stop. So this time we're gonna do a few turns of we cradled the bike a little bit, a few rounds as you saw. Now we're actually going to add some gas to it, which this bike is already kind of quick enough to get up and go, but we're going to actually add some gas now. So what you're going to do is, again, engage the clutch, 1 tap down for first gear. Now we're in first gear, and now every time that we shift, we're going to go ahead and get up into second, third, fourth, and fifth gear. I'm not going to really show you guys too much of shifting today because all we're doing is feathering this clutch and making sure that we're not letting it out abruptly, that we're actually able to take off from a stop, because stoplights and stop signs is going to be crucial for you guys out there. I can tell you and I still stall occasionally. I stalled the other day on my bike when I was doing a ride up to San Clemente. It's going to happen. The frequency of it will become less and less as you gain more experience with how to control the clutch. But the key is to let it out gently and apply just so ever lightly some gas. Do not whiskey throttle this. That is danger. That will get you killed, or if not, severely injured, depending on how you handle the bike and what kind of bike you have. Especially if you got a sport bike, that is a no-no. You'll end up popping a wheelie and popping up the front end. Do not recommend that. Lightly, you go ahead and apply the throttle. Lightly, while simultaneously letting out the clutch. So as I'm letting out the clutch, now I'm in the friction zone, the bike is moving. I'm now going to apply a little bit of throttle, as you can see. And I don't even have to really touch the clutch because the clutch is disengaged. I'm in first gear and I have my hand on the throttle. See what happens when you whiskey it a little bit? I just wanted to show you guys that it's not going to be fun. And about 15 miles an hour, my bike generally wants to be shifted up into second gear. But you could ride this all day. Now, if you have a smaller CC bike, you could be limited, right? Your bike's going to want to like tug at you after 10 miles an hour because the gear ratio is so close. But if you have a bigger bike, your gear ratios are kind of spread out a little bit more, and it's just better. Again, I'm not really doing much here, and I could even just disengage the throttle and just let the bike take me, you know. But we're actually applying a little bit of throttle here to where we're at. So again, ladies and gentlemen, the key is this clutch. To get you moving, don't even hit the throttle. Just ease it out ever so gently, ever so lightly, and then just cradle the bike. Cradle it in your driveway, wherever you need to go, and you'll be good. So that's going to end this segment. The rest of this, I'm just going to be riding. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and let's go riding.